Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me, on me, oh. Tell me why they sleeping on me.
What's going on? How are you doing? I hope you're doing well, staying safe, and being good to one another out there. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me out, helps the channel out. I really appreciate it. I'm up here in North Carolina, broke down, getting the trailer worked on, so making this here video. Who is perfect for OTR trucking? Now, local is a little bit different. Regional even's a little bit different. Normally in regional positions, you're home every day. But what type of person fits OTR trucking? You know, what separates us guys that love OTR from the guys that don't? What's the difference between us? As some of y'all know that have been watching my channel for any amount of time, I used to be a driver trainer. And after a while of training, when guys would get on my truck, I could normally tell you within a week whether they were going to make it OTR or they were wasting their time pretty much. And they needed to go on home. You know, I never told them to go on home, but I could tell that they were wasting their time. You know, it's pretty much like any job when you're training somebody. You can normally tell after a while if they got it or they don't got it, you know. Now, I know some of the local drivers, they talk crap. They're like, oh, you should be running local. You should be running local. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. And I've never understood that, because here's the thing about that. If local is so great and you enjoy it, you would not want to encourage other people to go do it. Because the more people that are trying to do it, the less that job is worth. It takes away worth from that job. The fewer people that do it, the more that job's worth. So, like, if you're running local and you really like your spot and you really like what you're doing, encouraging other people to come do it would actually be a disadvantage to you. OTR is a little bit different because most people don't want to do OTR. So you're never going to be able to encourage enough people to get out here and put you out of work. Now, the government may import enough workers to put you out of work. That's slowly happening out here. But as far as encouraging drivers to come out here and run OTR and thinking that's going to put you out of work, it's just not going to happen. But on a regional level, it could. On a local level, it could as well. But I'm getting a little off tangent here. Now, if I was thinking, like, what makes the perfect OTR driver? What mentality, what personality traits? A true introvert. Now, a lot of people like to think they are an introvert. A lot of people will say they are an introvert. You know, it's the classy thing to be today. It's the in or how would you say, popular. It's the popular thing to be today as introvert. But introverts are actually very rare. There's not that many people that are actually true introverts. A true introvert, someone who is truly an introvert, will love trucking OTR. Will absolutely love it. But you got to be a true introvert. There's something else that goes in the mix, though. And there's something I was thinking about here recently. When I was a kid, well, we traveled a lot even as a kid. You know, I lived in California, I lived in Louisiana, I lived in Texas. So I traveled a little bit as a kid growing up as well. You know, and then when I started working, I faded towards jobs that traveled. Like, I did electrical. I went to work doing heat trace, which was heat trace jobs tend to be between 6 weeks and 6 months long, and they bounce all over the country, mainly up north, but all over the country. I've always preferred jobs that traveled. I like to travel. And when I was a kid, I'm thinking back, I used to always want to travel. I wanted to travel ever since I was a little kid. If someone was talking about, like one of my cousins were talking about taking a trip or going out of town, I was the first one in the car ready to go. When I was a teenager hanging out with my friends, if someone wanted to get in the car and go across the state somewhere, go a few hours away and go do something, go to a party, whatever the case may be, I was the first one to jump in the car. I was ready to go. I loved to travel. Not necessarily drive, because I didn't always drive. I just loved to travel. And still to this day, I absolutely love to travel. So that's another personality trait. So if you're someone that, as far back as you can remember, you've always wanted to go, you've always wanted to be on the go, you've always wanted to go see different things in different places, then yes, that's one of the personality traits you need for an OTR driver. So what type of personality traits do not fit an OTR driver? If you're someone that enjoys going out with your friends every weekend, if you like going to the club or hanging out in a local bar, if you like hanging out in a bar, you're not an introvert anyway. That's a social environment. Nobody that's an introvert's hanging out in a bar. So you're probably not going to fit this lifestyle. You're probably not going to fit this type of lifestyle. A lot of truckers, a lot of people who also fit in trucking, fit in a lot of other jobs like carnies, carnival workers. A lot of those guys are actually introverts. They also travel. They enjoy traveling. They like bouncing from town to town. They don't like being anywhere too long. That's kind of the same mindset as an OTR driver. Now, the personality traits that make up an OTR driver are rare. You gotta love living out of a small area. You gotta love this job. They say if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I really enjoy trucking. I've tried local a few times. Wasn't for me. I didn't like it. Some guys do, some guys don't. But if you're the type that wants to hang out with your friends on the weekend, or you enjoy social situations, you enjoy those types of things, you're probably not going to be happy as an OTR driver. And those are traits I used to spot in my students. I could tell, like, they always wanted to be going in somewhere and hanging out with people. And I could tell right off the rip, there's nothing wrong with that, but I could tell right off the rip, like, this person they're going to be so lonely out here, it's not even going to be funny. An OTR driver that's got it in them, a true introvert, is not going to get lonely. We don't get lonely. Loneliness is not a problem. Might get bored. That's why we talk on the phone a lot and listen to talk radio and different things like that. We get bored, but lonely isn't an issue. That doesn't faze us. So if you are the type of person that's always wanted to travel, you don't get lonely, you're not a real emotional person, you've always wanted to see different things and stuff like that, then yeah, OTR trucking might fit you. If you're not, then you're probably wasting your time going to OTR. You do not have to go OTR anymore to get a CDL. There's a ton of local companies now that train for CDL. You can go get your CDL at a private school or through a community college, and then you can get a job on with one of the companies that will hire beginner drivers. There's local companies that do that. I believe Sigma, I think, has started doing that. They hire drivers with no OTR experience. Now, back in the old days, in order to get a local job, you had to have a few years OTR. Local companies wouldn't mess with you if you hadn't have been OTR for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. But all that's changed over the last few years. A lot of these local companies will hire you direct, local, with no OTR experience. There are a few that require some OTR experience, but they're not as common as they used to be. So don't think you got to go to CR England, or you got to go to Swift, or you got to go to Stevens Transport or CRST or one of these training academies and work out here OTR for a year to get a local job. That's a myth. You don't have to do that anymore. If you don't have it in you, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. We're all different. It's just like, just because one person likes doing something doesn't mean everybody's going to like doing that. Just because it works for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody. To be honest with you, I get a little sick of running into people and they're like, oh man, and they're local, or they're doing something different than what you're doing, and they want to tell you why everything you're doing is wrong and why you should be doing what they're doing. Really, in all actuality, that's an insecurity. They're looking for validation on what they do. That's why they're doing that. It's an insecurity. So when people start doing that, I normally start walking. I got to get away from them. They're getting on my nerves. Everybody's different. I enjoy OTR. I tried local, didn't like it. I love OTR. Plus OTR pays more where I'm from, and I like money too. So if OTR is your thing, don't let somebody else tell you that you should be doing something different. You do what you love, you do what you enjoy, and don't worry about what anybody else has got to say about it. And I'm sure some of these other drivers will probably hop down in the comments and they'll tell you other traits, because there's a lot of traits that make an OTR driver love being an OTR driver. All right, so I'm sure that guys will get down in the comments and they're going to leave their opinions and tell you stuff like that. And it's all good opinions, so make sure to read through the comments. You'll also run into a lot of naysayers, negative people, because I've ran into a lot of people over the years that say, man, yeah, you see all these places, but you don't ever have time to see them. You just see them through the window. Dude, I've done all kinds of things out here over the road over the years. I've taken tours in Niagara Falls. I've been through the caves in Missouri. I've done all kinds of things out here. There is time to do things out here if you're working for the right company and making a decent living. If you don't have time to do anything and you don't ever have money to do anything, then you're probably working for the wrong company. And at that point, you probably need to take a look at yourself and your decisions and maybe make some changes, right? But don't think that you're just going to pass everything and see it through the window. Now, you might pass it 10 times and see it through the window before you have a chance to stop. That does happen. Like Niagara Falls, I had been through Buffalo many, many, many times. But it just so happened, finally a time came where I was doing a restart and had time to go see it. So I went and checked it out, right? Same thing with the caves in Missouri. I've been up and down 44 many times. And I'd see the signs for them, and I'd think, you know what, that's on my bucket list. I'm going to go do that one of these days. I'm going to go check that out. And the first chance I got, I did. You can rent a car, you can get an Uber. Usually about once every 2 weeks or so out here, you'll have enough time to go do something. It's one of the reasons I enjoy doing restarts. And I still make a good living. I can do all that and still do 6 figures a year. It's not hard. So don't let people tell you that it's not going to be that way. Also, as an added note, what you think trucking's going to be like is not what trucking's going to be like. I can promise you that. The idea I had in my mind of what trucking was like was totally off. And even with all the traveling I'd done in my lifetime, it was still totally off from what trucking actually was like when I got out here and got to work. It's a whole different world. It's a whole different lifestyle. And I love it. I love it most of the time. It's a love-hate relationship, I got days when I hate it, but for the most part, I love it. So I hope this helps you if you're thinking about becoming a driver. Maybe you're at the house and you're thinking about getting into doing something different with your life. And maybe you thought about becoming a truck driver. Just make sure that it fits you. Take these things into consideration. Talk to other drivers and make sure it fits you. Y'all take care. Stay safe. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Remember to be good to one another. We are all family out here. We're a little bit dysfunctional. May not all get along, but we are all family out here. We all battle the same struggles. We all deal with the same life. We're all doing the same job. Let's keep trucking.
Please call the medic. This beat came to me on a stretcher. In the lab, I step to the mic and feel like I'm Dexter. I'm a man, dark world, but I'm still shining like treasure. Yeah, I got joy like ha ha ha. Wait, and I can't wear smiles, that's fake. Then I'm between love and strong. Hate clock says no time for mistakes. Ring the alarm, sirens go off, but I'm calm. My life resides in his palm. Submit to my pops, respect for my mom. Honor them both, so my life will be long. Third time, hit the charm of the third strike, had to.